Let's return to the football. Let's head to the Harbour City, and the Swans co-captain Kieren Jack is with us on AFL 360. Kieren, welcome aboard.
Hey boys, thanks for having me.
Let me ask you this, and we've been pondering this. Good luck or good management? How did the Swans win that first game?
Yeah, good question. We made it pretty hard for ourselves, I think. Full credit to Essendon. We knew it was going to be quite emotional for them early, and they came out absolutely firing. They caught us on the back foot, which was really disappointing for us, and we needed to fix that up. But we probably thought after quarter time, we were able to probably get some statistics back in our favour. Although we didn't get the scoreboard right, we were able to get some hard balls back and get the tackle count up, and it was probably a flow-on effect. The last quarter we could just overrun them. Maybe they were a little bit underdone, but you can only play what's in front of you, and we still got over the line.
On the Richter scale of what you've seen from John Longmire, how fierce was quarter time?
Oh yeah, it looks pretty fierce on TV, but he was just telling us exactly what we weren't doing in the first quarter. He was just demanding us to, as I spoke about those hard balls and being physical in the contest. Essendon was showing the way, and he was quite disappointed with that. As I said, I think the boys responded, although it didn't correlate on the scoreboard. I think the boys responded after that first quarter, and in the end, we got over the line, which was pleasing.
Kieren, how can a team like Sydney go into a round one of a season and be mentally soft and physically soft as you were, and then able to change it? First of all, why were you soft? And then what's the capabilities, or how do you change it?
I wouldn't say we were soft. I think we just highlighted the level that we had to play at was certainly different in the last quarter compared to the first. I think there's not much difference to it. You can be a little bit off, and Essendon were certainly up and about, but that last quarter especially, seeing blokes absolutely flying in, probably just a little bit off that first quarter. And that's all you need to be in AFL football. If you're not as brutal as you absolutely can be, you can get shown up. We thought we were going in hard, but clearly we weren't. So, as I said, it was pleasing that we were able to turn around in the last quarter and not come away with a loss and do a review and then realise that we didn't play at the level required and come out in round two. We were able to turn around in the course of a game and still manage to get a win.
McVeigh's a very demonstrative player. He didn't play on the weekend. So where did the leadership go? Your captain, what did you do to sort of keep the boys in it as you were trying to get over the Essendon hurdle, and it's taken 3 quarters? Do you feel that sometimes you can give up, or how did you motivate, and who came along with you?
Oh, you just got to keep instilling belief. I think certainly at 3/4 time that we were 40 points down or whatever we were, there was still belief in the camp. And I think we showed in the second quarter, as I said, statistics and hard balls, and we were getting some repeats into the Essendon defence, but we just couldn't capitalise. We had 6, 7, 8 scoring shots, all for behinds. We certainly knew the team that we had out there were capable of scoring points and scoring points quickly, regardless of the conditions. So at 3/4 time, that's what it was all about, instilling the belief and making sure that our leaders and guys like myself, we had to stand up. And we saw Luke Parker, who's a new addition to our leadership group. He went down pretty early in a pretty brutal act. And Joey Kennedy and Dan Hanbury, I thought, was outstanding. So for those guys to do that in the last quarter and bring blokes with them was important.
We've spoken a little bit this week about momentum in football, not just within games, but across the season, is in a peculiar way. You could have gone to the stadium, had a 2 or 3 goal win. It could have been reasonably stock standard, or you've done it in this extreme way. Do you feel there's a momentum out of that to have such an extraordinary last quarter and win in those circumstances that really might jolt you into the season?
Yeah, certainly heightened confidence, but in saying that, you've got to be ready to compete each week, and if you're not, as I said, you can get shown up. So we've spoken about that. We need to make sure that we come out and we're not going to have a slow start again, and the boys are fully aware of that.
So, Kieren, I want to ask you something about what's really important. Around a lot of back pages around the country today are talking about the drug situation. Now, there's a national drugs emergency. There's talk of, we've got the talk of the drugs policy on the agenda right now. Do you think Kieren, do you think AFL football and the players and clubs can play a role in saving this country from this ice epidemic?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely we can. And we need to be at the forefront to it. I think the AFL players probably around 10 years ago were one of the first to introduce an illicit drugs independent policy. And we were able to do that outside of the ASADA code. We led the way there. I think now they are talking that it needs to be reevaluated, and there is a huge social issue at the moment going on, and we need to be aware of that. I know the players are fully supportive of a medical concept, and that's what it needs to be. But absolutely, we as players, we are, as I said, we are role models to the generation coming through and to the general public, and we need to absolutely make a stand to it.
Do you believe in the hard line approach which is being proposed by some of the older players in the competition, a more punitive system?
Oh, certainly, yeah. Certainly if people are doing it knowingly and, you can go down that approach. But I still believe there needs to be the ability to rehabilitate and it needs to be a medical code in there without doubt.
I know of players who've stood up in front of their playing groups, Kieren, and I won't name the clubs, and please believe me when I say this. I know players who've stood up and spoken to their teammates about illicit drug use. Has that happened at the Swans? Has there been a necessity in the last 5 years or 3 years or 2 years for someone to stand up and say, OK, everyone, we've got to make a stand here first?
Yeah, well, we're acutely aware of it as football players in the Sydney Swans Football Club. You know, we get new players in every year. We make the rules. It's very clear at the club, and it needs to be. It needs to be. We're a club that stands for something, and the damage that an individual act can do to not only themselves, but also to the brand of the football club is huge. And we've worked really strongly to build a strong brand that's respected throughout Australian sport, and one act. It can only take one act to literally everything fall away. So it's topical, yeah, absolutely it's topical, and we need to make sure we're at the forefront of it.
You played Port Adelaide this weekend. A little later in the season, there's a specially minted Guernsey which has been put together by the club to honour the club champion medalists, Guernsey, and you've got that to show us?
I do, mate, yeah. Round 18 against Adelaide, we're in this club champion, this limited edition Guernsey. It's got all the names of the club champion previous medalists on here, signed by Bobby Skilton, and there's the opportunity for, I think, 1,000 Swans members to go onto the website and they can pay for their name to be actually on the jumper as well, and take home a really special piece of memorabilia.
Kieren, thank you very much for spending some time with us in Sydney, and good luck for what's to come.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me.
Kieren Jack with us on AFL 360. The Swans and Port Adelaide. There are great little flashpoints in round two, and that's absolutely one of them.
That is enormous. He's an outstanding young leader, isn't he?
Yep.
Do you think he was aware of the urgency of drugs discussion?
I think he's aware of it within the football circles, definitely.
Yeah, I thought he was aware of it across the country too. Anyway,
all right.
Who's next?